Welcome to Your Sleep Coach, the podcast dedicated to helping you reclaim your nights so you can live your best days. I'm your host, Devin Burke, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and the founder of Sleep Science Academy. I help exhausted insomniacs fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up energized using proven science-backed strategies and holistic coaching methods. So whether you're tired of tossing and turning or looking to optimize your rest for better health, you are in the right place. So each episode, we're going to dive into expert insights, practical tips, and real-life success stories to help you sleep deeply to live fully. No pills, no gimmicks, just the tools you need to create the sleep you deserve. So get ready to say goodbye to sleepless nights and hello to more peaceful, powerful, and present you. Let's dive in. In today's episode, I'm excited to introduce you to one of our amazing sleep coaches, Stacy Christian. Our coaches are the driving force behind the transformational results that we help our clients achieve. In this conversation, you're going to get to know Stacy, hear her incredible story, and her passion for helping others sleep better, as well as she's going to give you some expert tips on how you can start sleeping better tonight. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. All right, welcome to another episode of Your Sleep Coach. And today we have a very special guest. Today we have Stacy Christian, who is part of our coaching staff here at Sleep Science Academy. And today we get to spend some time with Stacy and get to know her, get to know how amazing she is. So Stacy, welcome.
Thanks, Devin. Good to be here.
Yeah. So I guess let's start off with you sharing a little bit about what led you to become a sleep coach? Like, give us the journey, your journey that kind of took you from, where you are today to where we started.
Yeah, it definitely was a journey. That was a good word for it. My journey started, we were overseas living in Singapore, and seemingly out of nowhere, I started having these weird experiences of, when I was driving, I started feeling really disconnected from my body. I started getting all these chest pains. I started having all these sensations that I was just very unfamiliar with. And it was very scary. And I went to all the doctor's appointments to see what was wrong with me, because I knew something was wrong with me. I had an MRI done on my brain, actually, because I was convinced that there was something wrong with my brain, because I actually felt like I was separating from my body. I did all the Google searches. I did everything. And everything that I came up with that I searched was saying it was anxiety and panic attacks. And I was like, nope, not me. I'm not an anxious person. Like I kind of prided myself in being very chill, low key, easygoing kind of person. So I was like, nope, every single time I saw it, I was like, not me. And I actually finally asked, like, it was like a Facebook group actually of people. I'm like, these are all of my sensations, all of my symptoms. Does anybody have any idea what could be wrong with me? Of course. And they all said the same thing too. It sounds like panic attacks to me. So I was like, okay, fine. If this is a panic attack, if this is anxiety, if this is what this feels like, what can I do to help myself? So I went on my journey to figure out how I could feel better. And, I went to a therapist. I got on medication. I did the whole thing. And what I found was the most helpful things for me were meditation, right? Breath work. And even more important was this practice of acceptance of feeling the things I was feeling, allowing them to be there. And it was life-changing. It was so life-changing that I was like, I want to be a messenger for people to know that they can help themselves so much more than they realize, right? You don't have to run off and get on the first medication when something comes up. So I was like, I want to be a messenger of this kind of self-advocation. So I signed up to be a health coach. I went to health coaching school and went that route. And, I was helping people with diet, with exercise, things like that. And when I came across the opportunity to come to Sleep Science Academy and I figured out what this program was about, I was like, this is it. Like, this is the thing that helped me the most, right? It's like this mindset work, this attention to anxiety, to the way that we think, to acceptance and allowing. And so it was like an easy yes for me. And it's everything that I fully believe in, everything that helped me. And so even if mine was not necessarily due to insomnia, it's all the same thing underneath, right? Actually, mine was driving. I started getting all of my experiences every time I got in the car.
Wow.
And it was really scary. And especially like being overseas and like driving on the wrong side of the road and the other side of the car and everything. And it was like every time I got in the car, it was like, okay, I have to get to this place. I can't just not drive. Anyways, so that was my journey. That's how I got here.
And we're glad that you made it here. And you've been with us for, gosh, I don't even know how many years now. It's at least three, maybe more, four.
I think coming on 4. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and at this point, you've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people. I know you've had thousands of sessions with
Yeah.
clients. So and it's always so fascinating to me. I think so many of the healers and the coaches of the world, they it's from their own struggle and pain that like drives them to like figure it out. And then, of course, if you have something that's worked for you, it's like the natural thing is to want to share it, right?
Right. Yes,
And
exactly.
I feel like that's such a common theme for so many healers and so many coaches and people that are doing just amazing work in the world. So let's kind of get into, what do you feel like is the most rewarding thing about sleep coaching and the work that we do at Sleep Science Academy? Like um, what calls you to continue? Listen, people listen to this. It's hard work working with you. You're tired, you're irritable, you're often confused, and and we get it. Like, so we take people, we meet them at their worst, literally. They're full of fear, they're full of panic, they're confused, and we get to have the opportunity to really guide them. Um, so what would you say is the most rewarding part about, the work they're choosing to do at Sleep Science Academy?
Yeah. I mean, it's so many things, but just watching the transformation, and it's almost like the transformation back to themselves, right? Because when they come, like they don't feel themselves. That's one of the common things is like I just want to feel myself again. And so this process of just feeling back to their normal selves. But even deeper, like when people start really understanding themselves on deeper levels than they did before, right? They start paying attention to the things that they didn't pay attention to before, like their way of thinking and the way that they respond to their thoughts or their stress or their anxiety or, you know, an appreciation of what they have a new perspective on life, right? So yes, the transformation. I've had many clients be like, Stacy, I'm sorry of how I started on this program. That was not me. I said, that's okay. This is what we're used to. This is why people join, because they're desperate to change. They're so desperate for answers that they're not getting, elsewhere. They're not getting the help that they need. They're getting Band-Aid solutions. And so to be able to give them something that lasts too is also very fulfilling for me, to know that the tools that we're giving you is gonna my goal is that, like, you come and you get the tools and you're good forever. Like, because you're so resilient, because you're so confident in how to use these tools, that even if you do have another rebound, you already know what to do. You already know how to navigate it because you're so confident in how to use the things that we're teaching you. So um yes, it's life-changing. It's not just a sleep program. And that's what everybody needs to know. This is way more than just a sleep program, because you're getting things that will help you that stretch far beyond just your sleep.
And it's important for people to understand that, because sleep is a part of life. Like, right, we can't separate our life from our sleep. And so many people, like, one of our core beliefs at Sleep Science Academy is, if you're experiencing issues with your sleep, all it means is there's something to learn. It's not, you don't have a bedtime disorder. It's a 24-hour challenge. And for us as a team and as coaches, like, we want to know, we want to help guide you to, what it is that your body's trying to communicate. What
Right.
is there to learn, right?
Right.
What do you get to learn? And so we get to put our investigator hats on and really get curious with you and help kind of see what uncover what there is to learn from the experience. Um, why do you believe that, having a sleep coach can be a game changer for someone struggling with sleep?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's important to have like another set of eyes on your situation. There's so many blind spots when you're in it yourself, right? When you're kind of feeling like it's happening to you and it's painful and it's confusing and you're not sleeping, right? And so you're not going to be thinking your best. To have somebody who knows, who believes fully that you can be helped is so helpful, right? For many people. So for me, because I do believe I can help every single person who comes into the program. I believe that we have tools that can help every single person. Um, and so to have that confidence and to tell you, like, listen, this is normal. Like you're okay. Like this is not abnormal. You're not unique. Like this is all something that we can work through, can be really it can be really nice to hear just as an outside party. But yeah, so blind spots, right? It's so interesting to me when we have clients who come in who are doctors and therapists and people who know a lot about the human body, right? They know a lot about the mind, they know a lot about these things, and yet they still are not sleeping well. Like, anybody cannot sleep. It's not choosy to just a certain people, a certain person. And so um I think it's helpful to have just the extra set of eyes to understand, like, you might think that you have all the answers. You might think that you've tried every single thing, but because we've coached so many people, we've seen so many stories, we've seen so many different experiences for different people. It's just nice to be able to offer that, it might even be like the smallest of nuances that they don't see, right? And so even just pointing those things out can be so huge.
Yeah, and they often are, right? It's these subtle things that we're not aware of. It's like I love that saying. It's like you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
that's where the work that we do at Sleep Science Academy really is. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and it's giving
Right.
people a safe space to really be heard, to be seen, and to really get curious about, hey, what is there to learn? What is there? So I'd love to kind of dive into, I mean, at this point, again, you've had thousands of sessions with clients. You've worked with famous people, you artists, doctors, lawyers, grandmas, teenagers,
Yep.
it's everybody sleeps and most people don't sleep well, at least the ones that we get to interact with. So you had a really broad spectrum of clients that you've seen, you've supported, you've helped transform. I'd love to like, kind of hear maybe a story about a client that really like stands out to you, or someone that you feel like had an amazing breakthrough. Um, and let's kind of unpack like what that process was like for them.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love the vast spectrum of people I get to work with. I think it's so interesting to me, right? It's like, okay, who's going to be next and who are you? Yeah, so I will talk about my client Sydney, right? So Sydney was a therapist, and when I first started this job, I was like super nervous to coach therapists because I'm like, you already know all this stuff, right? And but what I'm finding is that, like I said, there's always blind spots for people. There's a reason why they're here. There's a reason why they're still struggling. So what are they not seeing? Um, so Sydney came. She was one who had a hard time falling asleep, and she woke up several times a night. And then she had a really hard time going back to sleep once she woke up. And I remember that, she just wanted to, I think that she said something like, I just want to live without the distraction of having to plan my life around sleep, or something like that, right? Where her whole life was revolving around, am I going to sleep or not? Can I do this? Can I go on this trip? I don't know, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep well on the trip. And it's just like, it's so much weight on you, right? To just feel like you cannot live your life. And that was her goal. She just wants to live her life with flexibility, with openness, and to be present for her clients. Um, so that's kind of where she started. I think that she was also on medications. Um, and I don't know if you wanted me to walk through like how I approach every single client, but I can
No, let's go through. I mean, it'll be really helpful for people that are listening to this, Stacey, I think, to kind of hear the arc of, what took place. Like, so we kind of have an idea of where Sydney started, like who she is.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the things that you guys uncovered in your coaching sessions, or like realizations that she had through the coaching that you found that was so helpful? And then we can talk about kind of like where she ended up.
Okay. So let me tell you just a question I always start off with every client. And maybe yeah. So every first session I have with the client, I'm always saying, tell me about yourself that's not sleep related. And that's a really important question for both of us, right? I like to get to know who you are, but also more importantly, I like for them to remember who they are without sleep as part of the conversation. Right.
Mm.
And so that's important because what I challenge and encourage everybody to do is, okay, so this is what you want to be thinking about. This is what you want to be doing with your life, your hobbies, your work, your family, right? This is the goal, right? Is to, in health coaching school, they talk about crowding out, right? With diet, when you want to start cutting out sugar, instead of thinking about restriction and stopping cutting out sugar and don't think about sugar, don't eat sugar, it's okay, well, let's focus on what you do want to do. Let's focus on what you want to eat, proteins, vegetables, lots of fiber. And so that's kind of the same thing of like, let's crowd out your thinking about sleep and let's start getting back to living your life with things that you want to be doing and want to be thinking about doing. And so that's always important. Um, so she actually was trying to write a book, and she had a daughter who was about to go off to college, and she was wanting to write this book for her before she went off to college, of like a book of kind of like her personal thoughts and advice for her daughter as she kind of leaves the house. Anyways, it was like a really beautiful idea, but she felt like so stuck because she's like, I can't do this because I'm not sleeping. I'm not feeling my best self. Um, so what we did was we started just noticing, okay, you have to get a very clear picture of what's happening first, right? You have to create so much awareness in the beginning. Okay, what does your day look like? What is your mind? What are your thoughts about this, about your sleep, about all of it? That's another important part of the first part of the process. Like, let's see the whole picture here. So she had a lot of negative talk about sleep. She had a lot of fear. She had a lot of, anxieties just about, what does this mean long term, which is very common, right? What does this mean long term? Am I going to die early? Am I going to get Alzheimer's? Like, so many fears about the future. And so we started just, stop talking about your sleep, period. Right? No more talking about your sleep. And then start countering your what ifs. Right? That's also another thing. Start countering your what ifs. Okay, what if I die early from this? Okay, what if I don't die early from this?
Right.
Right? And so that's something that we started off doing. All right, what else did we do? I almost always encourage my clients to go on to have a meditation practice and to do it during the daytime, right? Not to do it at nighttime to where you're doing it so that you can sleep and you have all these attachments to it. But it's a way of them. That's another thing I kind of gauge in the beginning is like, how well do you know yourself? How well do you know your body? How well do you know your thinking, the way that you respond to stress, the way that you feel when you're stressed? How familiar are you with your own human experience? And I found that meditation practice is just a really nice way to create consistency with that, with sitting down, observing. And so she started a meditation practice during the day. And then just talking about like de-escalating, right? De-escalating your experience, right? When you have a thought and you want to build on it, don't build, right? Just watch, just let it be there. So I remember that she had a big trip. I think she was going to go see Taylor Swift with her daughter. And she was like traveling overseas to see it, right? It was like this big trip.
Well,
And, all the anxiety around travel, of course, of like, what am I even going to be able to enjoy myself? Like, is this trip going to be ruined? All these things. And so, we did some work around that of like crowding it out. Like, instead of focusing on how bad the trip might be if you don't sleep, let's focus on how excited you are to spend this time with your daughter. Let's focus on how excited you are to see Taylor Swift, and not be worrying about the things that might not even happen, right? So that trip was actually really huge for her because she slept well
mm.
and she got confidence. She got evidence that she could sleep. which is huge, right? That first time that they get a good night of sleep is so big because it's like, oh, I'm not broken, right? It's like
Yes.
that whole belief of like, if I can do it one night, like even if some people haven't slept a good, like a full night in like a long, long time,
Yeah,
right?
like
Yeah.
I want to pause for a second and just kind of like just peel back a little bit about what you're saying, God, and just reflect back. So, a big part of her experience, it sounds like, which I think is most people's experience working with us and through your coaching, it's creating the awareness. Like creating the awareness, really getting to know, like, hey, let's get a map of what's actually happening here in our thinking, in our feeling, in our behaviors, so that then we can really start to see, okay, like what is helpful, what is useful, what is not. Where are we, what, and it's so much of this work too. And you do such a great job of asking really good questions. It's helping people gain that perspective,
Right.
right? And really see it's not just what you're doing, it's how you're thinking about what you're doing that really often makes the difference. And to really get into how you're thinking about it, you need to really have somebody to create the space to ask those questions and to ask those questions yourself, to get to know yourself, to create that awareness. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I think that you do an amazing job at is really asking questions, creating the space to ask. And when you ask those great questions, you get better answers. I think a lot of times people they don't ask the right question, or they're asking questions that are not useful. Like, why is this happening to me? Or when is it going to, right? And it just, so, okay. So kind of jumping back to the story. So she goes to the Swifty concert, finds some evidence, which is another key part, right? Really helping
Yep.
clients find that evidence that they're not broken, and then kind of take us to the finish line. Like, where did she end up? Where did Sydney end up from there?
Yeah. So then it's a matter of it's kind of rebuilding. Like again, who are you without sleep as a problem? So how are you going to fill your time now that you're not, saying no to everything because you're worried that it's going to screw up your sleep? And so she started making goals, health goals. She started writing her book. She started, yeah, you have to like when you have this void now, right? When you have this void of all this time and space and energy that you've put towards sleep, you have to fill it with something.
Mhm.
And so that's what she did. She poured herself into um, her work and like I said, she made some good health goals. And this is what the transformation is. It's like going from not feeling yourself and feeling such a victim to this circumstance to building an intentional life on purpose, like something on purpose that you want to be doing. And it's so beautiful. Um, so goal setting, confidence building, again, letting go is so much of this again. It's like in order to start rebuilding, you have to have let go of so many things with the sleep. Like the sleep part is not the building part. It's not the doing part. It's not the efforting part. The sleep part is the letting go. It's the deconstruction. It's the allowing. It's the trusting, surrender, right? It's all those things of letting go. Right. And so now that you've let go of all of that, now it's like, okay, building what you want. And so that's a process for a lot of people though, right? The letting go is so much harder than building. Like so many people will come to me wanting a list. Tell me what to do. I
Yeah.
will check it off the list. I will be your perfect student. I will do everything you tell me if I can get sleep from it. And it's like, well, you have more things to learn here.
Yeah. And that I feel like that's such a big part. I mean, a couple of things I want to kind of just jam on a little bit. Like so many people I think that we work with take on uh not sleeping as an identity.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes people don't even know who they'd be if they were sleeping. And so it's like, really getting clear on, yeah, what would life look like if this wasn't a problem? Like that's an amazing question to really think about. And it can be scary for certain people, especially the clients that have come to us in literally decades.
Mhm.
And sometimes people get payoffs. Like they don't, you know, um, have to show up for things, or people, they get attention because everyone's always asking them about their sleep, or they know they have this sort of quote unquote affliction. And so it can be challenging to really be honest about some of these things. and then start to let go of this identity that can sometimes form, often does form, of I'm somebody who doesn't sleep or a light sleeper or whatever it is. It's a process,
Mhm.
like sharing. It's not, it's a, and some of the words that, again, I think we're trained to, Stacy, to want people to tell us what to do. Give me a list.
Mhm.
And that's unfortunately not, it can be helpful in some ways, but in a lot of ways, it's like the work is, it's like, how do you let go? How do you let go of something? How do you let go? Right?
Yeah.
Is there a list? Is it like, okay, step one, step two? It's like, well, maybe there's like pointers, but that's part of the experience that I think clients get to really try on. It's, some of these things that are not so tangible that make a huge difference.
It makes all the difference.
All
It
the
makes all
difference.
the difference. It
Makes all-
does. It really does. Like to teach someone how to, right, even if they come and it's like, okay, so what if your night from last night repeats completely, but you let it happen? Where you're not fighting the whole time. You're not wishing it was different. You're not resisting. You're not trying to change it. And you literally just observe the whole night. How would that feel different? Right. And woo, that is inviting discomfort is another huge barrier for people to come up to get over, right? It's like there's this belief, as humans, I think we're just created to be, our brains want us to be safe and comfortable. And so when there's discomfort, we're going to naturally just go up against it with everything we've got. And the practice of welcoming it in, right? And learning how it's a skill I think that could be built, right? Of learning how to sit with being uncomfortable. And we use examples like, okay, a really hard workout, you're welcoming discomfort there, right? Where you are, training your muscles, and you're going to be sore, and you're going to be out of breath, and your heart rate is going to increase. Um, you know, taking a cold shower, that's welcoming discomfort, right? So like all these practices that sometimes we have to use as examples of like, you've done it before, this is just a different experience, but same concept of like, let it happen, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be safe, and you're going to see the difference when you stop fighting it.
and that's another really important key point, I think, to this whole experience is helping clients find the resistance. Like, where is their resistance? Where is their contraction mentally or physically? And how can we facilitate, you know, letting the resistance, dropping the resistance, letting it go or surrendering it. And that only happens from a skilled practitioner asking really good questions, bringing their full presence, and creating the space for that to take place. Because it is uncomfortable, right? It's
Yep.
uncomfortable sometimes just being really honest and owning the reality of what's happening. Like a lot of times people like, even want to skirt away from that just because it's like, it can be painful to get honest and to get
Yep.
real. And so, so let's kind of talk about a little bit like what's one thing. So people that are listening to this, obviously they're listening because they are struggling. They're looking for solutions. Um, what's something that you could share with people like today listening to this that they could do or not do or think? So we've got a couple options here, Stacy.
Do not do or think.
Yeah, to really just start the process, even if they don't get our support, which hopefully they decide that they do want our support, but um, to really start the process of improving their sleep and understanding that it's actually not about sleep at all. Like sleep's the result.
Yeah, this is a good question. I actually recently had a client who was like, listen, if there was just one thing, I think he's trying to get around like watching all the videos. He's trying to find like the one thing, and he's like really pushed me
Well,
to tell him what is the one thing.
what's the secret?
Yes, I said, well, there's no secret. There's no one secret. Uh, but I guess if there was one thing I would encourage people to start doing now, um, I mean, it's hard because there are so many things that are interconnected too. And so I guess I mean, the idea of acceptance of just allowing your experience to be exactly what it is. And then, so here's kind of my breakdown. Okay. pay attention or observe what is right now, right? Be with what is right now. Pause, right? Instead of reacting, pause with it and then choose your response. And if you could break down your life in micro moments, and every moment you can say, okay, this is what is right now. Pause. How do I want to respond to this? Right? You're going to feel so much more. That's what's going to help you feel more in control.
Wow.
Right? Instead of being like victim to this, to that, and you're reacting to everything that's happening. If you could just kind of slow it down and break it down in little micro moments. So let's say you're awake at 2 a.m. Okay, this is what is right now. Pause. How do I want to respond to being awake at 2 a.m.? Do I want to, toss and turn and think about how mad I am and think about how frustrating this is, that's going to last forever? That feels uncomfortable too, right? So what if I could just sit with my breath and just stay relaxed and go read a book or, do something that is going to feel like it can kind of protect your peace, right? That's like the whole goal, is to protect your peace. I think that's what we're all seeking anyways.
Yep. 100%. I hope people go back and really listen and hear what you just said, because that's like golden wisdom and truth. And it might sound simple, and it is simple, and it is challenging. It is challenging. It takes practice to do what you just said, but it can be that simple. It really can be. So that was really, really beautiful the way that you put that. Let's talk a little bit about the coaching experience. What can someone expect? A lot of people come to us. Some people, they've had coaches before. Maybe they're working with a therapist. Maybe they're a therapist themselves. But then there's other people that come to us and they've never, they don't know what a coach is. They don't know what the coaching experience is like. This is probably their first interaction, maybe with some of the information or a lot of the information that we discuss. So let's talk a little bit about, what can someone expect from a coaching session? And then I want to talk about, well, let me pause there and then we'll get into the next piece here. Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, what can someone expect with the coaching?
Yeah, from a coaching session, like maybe walk us through somebody's new to the program, they're just getting started. What can they expect from you in a coaching session? Like, what is that experience like? Okay.
So every coaching session, we always start, and this is, program wide, we all do this, but every coaching session, we always start off with what's working, right? My first question every call is, what would you like to celebrate today? So the idea is, our brains are wired to go to the things that are not working, to focus on the things that we need to fix. But the work of this program is to pause and say, how can I find the things that I've learned already? How can I find, where I'm growing? I like celebrating actions. I like celebrating, what are you implementing? What are you practicing? What are you noticing? What are you learning about yourself? What awareness are you creating? Those celebrations are always so much more impactful than, I mean, sleeping is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's the action and it's you paying attention in your life, right? It's you paying attention to what different choices you are making in order to shift your trajectory, right?
That leads to this.
That leads to the sleep. Yes.
Right.
The sleep is just the result, right?
Yep.
What choices are you now making that are different than what you did before? That's like the big one. And so, like I said, whether that's they're choosing not to talk about their sleep, or they're choosing to meditate, or they're choosing to not react to a certain thought that might come up, or they're choosing to fill their time with the things that they enjoy doing, right? Crowding out their negative sleep thinking or actions. So we'll always celebrate whatever they've been working on. And then we'll get into whatever questions they have, which usually leads to questions for them, right? So they have a question for me, and then it's more like, how can I help them internalize this question and come up with the solution themselves? I'm not always the best at this, but sometimes people need a lot of hand-holding in the beginning, especially, right? Sometimes people, if they've never done coaching, if they've never done any mindfulness practice, if they've never done, this kind of work, they haven't had to be introspective. This is going to be, a good practice for them. And it is difficult for some people, and that's okay, right? That's okay if you've never done any, any coaching or mindfulness, and you have never meditated a minute of your life, that's okay, right? We can start, we've seen it all. And
Mhm.
so, coming and just, I think that the biggest thing that I ask my clients to be is just willing to be open and curious and take the questions seriously that I'm asking you, sit with them, right? It's the people who are like, I don't know, immediately. I was like, okay, well, let's sit with it again. Like, take a little bit more time and think on it, right? So the willingness is huge. Um, the honesty is huge. If you're not being honest with yourself, you're not going to do yourself any favors.
Yeah.
And so open honesty is always helpful. And then a willingness to implement.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you kind of answered my next question,
Okay.
which was, what the types of like, when somebody shows up, how can they show up in a way where they can get the fastest and the best results? And I think you kind of already answered that because, some people, it's, there has to be this openness, this willingness to actually do this type of work. And some people say that they're open and willing, but then we find out very quickly that it's not as open and willing as they say, right? Um, so although, we worked with thousands of people and, it's always fun to see somebody that was maybe so closed and so not open, even though, and then kind of see that like sort of, I always give like, it's like a beautiful, like a flower kind of opening up. Like it starts like so like tight. But I think that for those people that are listening to this, your results when you work with a master coach like Stacy will be accelerated the more open and honest you are and the more willing you are just be real. And that can be, difficult for some people because, just because of life experiences or lack of support or lack of awareness. And that's okay. Wherever you are, it's okay because we're going to meet you where you are. And we're going to help you to really realize the things to then move forward. And
Yeah.
that's what all about. That's what coaching is. That's what coaches do. That's what coaching is. Um,
Yeah. If I had had a coach when I had first started my whole experience of the anxiety and panic attack, if I had just been open and honest with myself that this is a possibility that I could have anxiety, it would have saved me so much time to just start going ahead and start. But I was so opposed to this idea of not me. I can't have anxiety. I have clients who come and, we talk about meditation. They're like, oh, I don't know. That's not for me. I said, are you a human?
yeah.
Because in their mind, they might have like a stereotypical person who meditates and they don't connect with them. Right. And so it's like this willingness. Well, are you willing to try it? Are you willing to just sit with, 5 minutes to breathe?
Yep.
Right. I'm not asking you to bring out any crystals or anything like that. I promise. Right. It can be very much just a basic, and there's so many good apps out now. It's so much easier now, right, to find something that really connects with your personality and what um I think that there's an app for any person who wants to start meditating, right, based on your style. But yeah, it's just that willingness. Like, are you willing to just try it?
I think too, I mean, you brought up something really important even in your own experience. Like, I think a lot of times they see getting support as a weakness.
Mm,
And they're kind of in denial of like, oh, that's not me. I don't experience anxiety or I don't have any fear around this or, and it's like getting support and asking for help is not a weakness. It's strength. And especially I think in some of our older clients that we get to work with, it's like this sort of um, like this wall that needs to come down in order to really be vulnerable and willing to be like, yeah, okay, I need some support. Like, yeah, I do. My heart does race, whether we call that anxiety or whatever else you want to call that.
yeah.
Right? It's just like, again, that's part of this is like the more real you can get with yourself and the more honest, the quicker you're going to experience results. And so, I want to round out the conversation a little bit. Tell us a little bit about you. So I want to know what's something I know a lot about you, Stacy, at this point. You do some pretty cool things, but maybe just tell our listeners a little bit about, something personal that maybe they would never know about you.
Okay.
You're open to it.
Yeah, sure. So, okay. So I am a mom of triplets. That's something unique about me, which maybe that played a part into my anxiety, probably. But in my mind, I was fine. Um,
Three
I was
kids
living in,
all at once. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I was
I'm
living in Singapore and the triplets were 18 months old. And I also had an older daughter as well, who's 2.5 years older than them. And anyway, so that was a very unique experience. We got to do a lot of traveling, a lot of fun things at that in that period of time. Um, and now we live in Hawaii. And so, I take hula classes, which is fun. And we're living the Hawaii life over here. We are homeschooling as well. So we have a lot of family time together. Um, still trying to perfect the surf. Still not great at that, but not giving up yet.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I appreciate you, sharing. I just want to appreciate, first and foremost, I want to thank you for the work that you do, for all the clients that you have impacted, all of the clients that you will impact. Um, Again, the work that we do at Sleep Science Academy, it's deep work, and it takes a special person to really meet people in their lowest point, show up with full presence, show up with an open mind, be willing to continue to like sharpen the saw to be able to continue to help people the way that we do. So I just want to just thank you and acknowledge you for your commitment, not just to Sleep Science Academy, but your commitment to the people that you work with, because it's really apparent. And for those people listening, you can go, we have literally now hundreds of video testimonials, and they're so good that people actually think that they're paid actors, which I think is hilarious. I literally was talking to a woman yesterday. She's like, "Are these real?" I'm like, "No, I pay people. I pay hundreds of people to just it's and yeah, a lot of those testimonials that you'll watch, Stacy had a part in that, a big part. So I just want to acknowledge you for the work. Thank you for taking the time to let us get to know you, for sharing the wisdom that you have. And for those people that are listening to this, if you want to, if you want to work with Stacy, contact our team, set up a consultation. We'll see if we can help you. She's amazing, as you probably already now realize. And yeah, we're here to support you. You don't have to do this alone. You're not broken. There is a path out of this, and we're here. We're here. We're not going anywhere. So take action. That's the only way that we can help you, is if you, take the step to get our support. So Stacy, thanks again for the time. And until next time, sleep well.
Thanks, Devin.
Hey, it's Devin, and I just wanted to, first and foremost, say thank you to those that have been listening, following along the last 20 episodes. We're 20 episodes into this Your Sleep Coach podcast, and I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your feedback, what you liked, what you don't like, what you'd like to see more of, so that me and my team can get into the creative flow of giving you more of what you want, more of what's helpful, more of what's useful. So if you're not already a subscriber, please take the time to subscribe. If you know somebody who needs any of the episodes up until this point, please point them in our direction. We'd love to give them the resources and the support that they've been missing. And most importantly, we'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line or a comment or review, and let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what you like more of. Let us know what topics you like us to cover. And we want to hear from you. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to really dive deep into what this sleep struggle is all about. I trust that some of this information has been valuable for you and that you're sleeping better. And I will see you in the next episode. Now, if you're ready to take the next step towards better sleep and want expert guidance, my team and I are here to help. You can book a free sleep consultation To learn more about how our proven approach can work for you, all you need to do is visit sleepscienceacademy.com to get started. And if you're passionate about sleep health and you want to help others overcome their insomnia, you can also check out our sleep coach certification program, where you'll gain all the tools and the training you need to guide clients to better sleep and transform their lives. So whether you're looking to reclaim your nights or make an impact as a sleep coach, it starts with one step. That's visit sleepscienceacademy.com to learn more. Thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review if you found this episode helpful. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next one.